Hello and welcome to another episode of Top Deck, the series where we take a look at some of the leading TCG deck lists. On today, I have with me someone who has made top 8 at the UK and Ireland Remote Duel Extravaganza. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Ace in Newmarch. You've probably seen me a few times on this channel with many a mech invoke lists, and here I am with another one.
Big fan of the deck then.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this is the list you took to the Extravaganza.
Yep.
Made it all the way into the top 8 from, what was it, 8 rounds of Swiss?
8 rounds of Swiss, yeah.
And what was your record at the end of that?
It was 6-2.
Okay. Cool. And are we alright to just dive into the list?
Certainly.
Okay, so typical invoked package, I think, at this point. Triple Alistair, double invocation, triple meltdown. You've got the one terraform to go with that.
Yeah, pretty much.
You don't feel like you need the third invocation? I mean, you don't play desires in this list, right? So you don't. I feel like you wouldn't need the third one.
No, it's not needed. Like, I never needed the third one throughout the week. There was never a situation where I thought, I wish I had a third invocation. Two was just perfect.
Yeah. Did Alistair get hand trapped much?
It got hand trapped a few times, but then it's one of those scenarios as an invoked player where it's like, oh look, I've already got invocation or a way to get to Dragoon, so it's fine.
Yeah, it seems alright. Hand trap lineup. This one interests me quite a lot. So you've gone for Ash and Crow, and 2 Meister. Why did you opt for Crow rather than like Bell or anything like that?
I'm not too big on Bell because Bell's like really specific. Meanwhile with Crow just hits way more. Like, it hits Quinlan in Graveyard because Quinlan banishes for cost, so you can't Bell it. Meanwhile with DD Crow, like, if they Foolish Burial Goods it or send it with a Virtual World card, you can just literally be like, on resolution DD Crow hits it, and then they just struggle a bit more. Yeah,
and then I guess you're only really trading 1 for 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Oh, and then Meister does the same kind of thing, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, Meister put in so much work this weekend. Like, I know it's at 2, but the only reason it's at 2 is because I had to get the list down to 40, and that third Skull Meister was cut for an instant fusion, which we'll get into later.
Okay. And are you happy with the hand trap lineup following the event?
Oh yeah, so I would put in the third Skull Meister.
Okay. And do you know what you take out for that? Would that be the instant fusion?
Instant fusion never came up.
Okay.
Spoilers.
Okay, fair enough. Right, what else we got? We got Pankratops. Pankratops interests me, right? Because right now, I hear a lot of people saying that Pankratops isn't very impactful because it used to be you throw it against a Dragon Link board and it would hit at least 2 disrupts.
Yeah.
Whereas it doesn't do quite as much damage now. Are you still happy with playing it?
I'm still happy with playing it. Like, say against Newmarch and Eldritch, they get Zexal out, and with Zexal, you still got something to beat over the Zexal and help you survive the next turn.
Mm-hmm.
And I still just think it's just a really solid form of removal, and it just summons itself if your opponent already has a monster up. So even if you don't use its pop effect, it's an extender for Verte.
Yeah, sure. Kind of like a... So, yeah, it's kind of similar to a mekk-knight, different summoning condition.
Pretty much.
And yeah, can be a disrupt, I guess. Kaiju, triple Gamma Seal. I mean, it's the easiest one to beat over, right?
Oh yeah, and then there's people who don't shotgun VFD and Zexal and standby phase, so this just punishes them, because I understand why they do it to play around Gamma, but I didn't play Gamma because I don't think it's as impactful right now unless you're playing Virtual World or Invoke Dogmatica.
Yep.
And I'm already playing 2 vanillas, and I don't want to be playing a third vanilla because I tried it with main deck Gamma and I thought it was terrible.
Yeah, the thing is, like, as soon as people start playing around Gamma, the Kaiju's just become so much better. You get so much more value out of them.
Oh yeah, and if you've got Kaiju, Alistair, and an extender which makes Dragoon, you literally have game on board.
Yeah, it's a bit nuts. 2200 free damage. Sounds good to me.
Indeed.
Okay, onto the chunky mekk-knights. So 2 blue, 1 indigo, 3 purple. How do you feel about
Best
these
ratio.
ratios? Is that the perfect one?
I think it's a perfect one because I know some people like Yellow Star and Red Moon, but I think those ones are a bit too slow. Like Yellow Star, I can kind of forgive because it is good in some slow formats where you can pop back row, and it's another name. And then with Red Moon, I just think Red Moon's really underwhelming, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. And you wouldn't play like a third blue?
Not in this format, especially with BFD, because you want like the perfect hand is like an Alistair, an extender in the form of Colbane, which we'll mention later, or a mekk-knight, and then like one or two forms of disruption, like a hand trap, or any of the other cards I've got in the list that we haven't got to yet.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's carry on. So we've got to the Corobane now. Tell me about this card.
Pretty underrated with Light Stage.
So it's a special summon. So Light Stage or Terraforming or Light Stage gives you one back row removal and one special summon, right?
Yep, and it's another extender.
Yeah, so that's like half of your Anaconda already, I guess.
Yep, and Light Stage baits out Eldritch traps. So you hit Sanguine, you can hit Conquistador when they haven't got Lord out, so Conquistador is pretty much dead.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, because they're never going to want to get rid of the Light Stage itself, right? So you'll just keep pinning different back row. Seems really good. Okay. That Magician, redeyes, and then onto spell lineup. So triple droplet. How's this for you?
Oh, droplet was amazing. It literally is the best BFD out right now. Like the last game in the main event, my opponent had an end board of Gossip Shadow and BFD, and he tried to stand by phase BFD, and I'm like, chain droplet, send another droplet in my hand and Skullmeister to hit both cards, and then the last two cards were Nightfall and Alistair, and I just had game from there.
That's one of the things about this deck, right? You just sort of pull game out of one or two cards.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's quite cool. Okay, and then the instant fusion. So it never came up.
It never came up. That was just another form of removal with 1,000 eyes.
Yeah. But you don't play the Anima as well, right? Just the 1,000 eyes.
I was considering the Anima, but then I had another idea in mind with Cross Sheep and Selene.
Okay.
Since instant fusion counts as a legal fusion summon, so you could just go Cross Sheep when you summon Macabre or another invoked fusion, just summon 1,000 eyes, grab another guy, make Selene, summon 1,000 eyes back, make access to Code Talker, pop off from there.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. Shame it never came up.
Never came up.
You just need more instant fusions in the game. One day we'll have another thing like instant fusion.
Maybe.
Okay, that's that. Lightning Storm. I mean, you're board breaking, right? You just want to remove everything and then OTK, I guess.
Oh, Lightning Storm was mental. Like, one match was against Altergeist, but I opened it both games and I just OTK from there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so hard to lose when you face down something like that and you've got a Storm. And it's like, oh, my one card trades for 4 or 5 of your cards. Like, what do you do at that point? They need Judgment or something.
Oh yeah, but it's also good for baiting out Judgment, because then you're thinking to yourself, okay, then we've got rid of half their life, that makes killing them even easier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Poker Trio is massive. Okay, and then you got double redeyes fusion. Why did you play 2 of it?
Oh, this is the thing with redeyes fusion. I tried one, but I wasn't big on it, because you want to see Dragoon is the best card in the deck, and you want to see Dragoon as soon as possible. Say you open one of your redeyes fusions. Say you were playing 1, for example, and you open that 1, you activate it, and then they ash it. That means you've got no more opportunities to summon Dragoon, and you've got 2 Garnets in your deck. However, by playing 2, if that scenario happens, they're like, okay, then that's not the end of the world. I've got another opportunity later on in the game to summon Dragoon, and that means Verte isn't dead either, because I'm playing 2 Verte, which we're getting to.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Then Terraforming and Light Stage already covered, I think.
Yep.
So you mentioned you probably changed Instant Fusion for Skullmeister. Are there any other changes you'd make to the main deck?
Not really. I think it's pretty solid. Like, I might try out some of the different hand trap lineups depending on how the format changes. But this list was made to like counter the format since there was a lot of virtual world going about. Like, I played 5 in the main event.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But you didn't feel like maining Lancia?
That's a weird one because with Lancia, I don't want to like see it like blind going second because it does nothing to Drytron. Zoo Lich is a weird one because you can hit the back row, and they've still got the Zoo monster.
Yeah.
And you kind of want something which helps like get rid of that Zoo monster, just so we don't go, okay, next turn attack, make Warbow attack, make Zeus.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess you don't really put up a lot of defensive stuff, really.
No.
Better not to get in that situation. Okay, fair enough. Right, let's move on to the extra. So 1 Orgides, 2 Macabre, 1 Purgatrio. This is like the staple lineup, isn't it now?
Oh, it's really standard, yeah.
Yeah, okay. The 1 Dragoon, the 1 Thousand Eyes. Access code for board breaking. You've got Invoker of Madness for some OTK plays and just getting to Invocation, I guess.
Pretty much. I only summed it once, so it didn't really come up that much.
Yeah. Do you think this is cuttable, or do you think you have to play it?
It's a weird one because I could cut it, but then at the same time, it's like, say I've got no other ways to get to Dragoon. It's just like another easy way for me to get to game. Because if you've got Verte, Macabre, and Dragoon on board, you've got 2 really solid negates, but only deals 6k on its own if you don't have a Kaiju, if they don't have anything to pop.
Yeah.
Which is 2k or more. So it's another way of like going Alistair, make a bunch of fusions, kill.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. What do we got? Magistus Link, I think is pretty standard now, right? For your list, you'd never go Alma Rush, Secure Gardener anymore, because you just don't have to, right?
No, it's not needed. And with Alma Rush, I used it way more to link into Verte, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, Cross Sheep. Did this come up in, like, so you mentioned that you could do the cool play to get to your access code talker.
Yeah.
Did you use it for anything else, or was it just for that?
It's mainly just for that, and also you can make Nightmare Unicorn if you wanted to, but again, it was probably, like, I didn't summon a third of my extra deck, to be honest, and that was one of the cards.
Okay. Fair enough. Then we're on to the double Anaconda now. So why 2 Anaconda?
Well, here's the thing with 2 Anaconda. Say that you summon one and you put against back row deck and they solemn it. You're thinking, okay, then I've got another Anaconda that I can make, so I can like with extenders and stuff, so I can literally just attempt to do Dragoon again, because you want to see Dragoon as soon as possible. So if you only play 1 Anaconda and we get rid of it, then it's kind of a lot harder to get to Dragoon. But if you play 2 Anaconda, it just makes it a whole lot easier.
Yeah. With the concept of you want to see Dragoon as soon as possible, I'm guessing that you only want to see it from Anaconda, right? Because when you mentioned you bumped up the redeyes fusion, you didn't consider playing 3 or Insight, right? So you pretty much only want to get to Dragoon via an Anaconda.
100%, yeah, because 2 redeyes fusion is perfect, because if you had 3, it would be a bit excessive.
Okay. What else we got? They got the Alma Rush and the Celine. So I'm guessing Celine is just every now and again you get to OTK somebody.
Yeah.
She's pretty decent.
She didn't come up though.
Oh no. Not quite as free as when people went via Fibrax into Vayner, is it?
I was considering Fibrax, but then I had no like consistent way of getting to it.
Yeah, I just don't think it's worth it in that case. There's just no. What's your tuner? Ash. Is that the only tuner?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But if Salad was like, say, dominant, you could always have Heater, which I think is a spellcaster.
Yep.
Say, summon your opponent's Ash and just make Celine from there. But then there's barely any fighters right now, so it's a lot harder now to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Okay. Well, maybe it'll come up in the future. We'll just have to see how the format develops, I guess.
Yeah.
Onto the side deck. So you really respected Drytron then, right? Because you got Psycho Readers and you got Trolls in the side deck.
Oh yeah. I only played one all weekend. Well, in the Giant Card event. I didn't play one in the main event. I played against Owen Wilson in the Giant Card event.
Oh yeah.
But I never saw it. But I still think it's a card which is necessary to play because it stops Ben's turn. It stops all the Drytrons in graveyard.
Yeah, and hitting 2 is just absurd, right?
Yeah.
Seems really good. Plus, I guess it's like it's a decent hand trap for the Eldritch matchup if you feel like you need it, but I'm not sure how much you really want it.
I don't think you need it as much for the Eldritch matchup because you got DD Crow already.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd rather side think the back row removal.
Yeah. Yeah, DD Crow has more application in that matchup anyway, right? You can banish the golden lands and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Triple Lancia, I assume, is pretty much just for, well, like put in for the virtual world, and then luckily it has application against random other stuff as well.
Yeah, like Invoked Dogmatica,
Tri-Brigade.
Dinos.
Yeah, Dinos, yeah. Dino representation was low, right? There wasn't very many in the event, I think.
There was one which got third, though.
Yeah, that was cool. But yeah, just not a lot of it at the event for some reason.
But I did find myself siding Lancia a lot, and it did put in a lot of work, because the best time to use it against Virtual World is when they're dumping Quinlan to graveyard and do this like Resolution Lancia, because you don't want to get back Quinlan search, because if they don't have Lulu in hand, they'll most likely be going for Lulu.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as they got that, they just start steamrolling you, which is a bit tricky.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What's we got? Back row removal time. So Cyclone, Harpy's Feather Duster, and Red Reboot. I mean, given that you're going for an OTK, having these plus Lightning Storm is probably like easily enough to break any back row based board.
Oh, pretty much. Going back to the old guys guide, like during the game 2 when I had Lightning Storm again, I had Red Reboot as well and tried to use Spoof, and I'm like, chain Red Reboot because I didn't want the good multi-faker.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay then, I just win from there.
Yeah, it seems a bit crazy. You open any of these cards, you should really easily win at that point.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And then the last card in the side deck is the Mystic Mine.
This is a funny one.
Yeah.
Because I was playing Side in Gamma originally, I cut Gamma the night before the Saturday Giant card because I wasn't happy with it in testing, and I just opted to go with Lantis because Lantis is just a lot stronger right now. I just had one slot left. Like I was considering Mind Control, but Mind Control is kind of weak right now, especially with like non-targetable cards like Dragoon.
Yeah.
And then against Virtual was like, okay, you take the VFD, what do you do with it? I'll link it off.
Yeah.
So I just thought, what's a really, really sacky card? Mystic Mine.
Yep. Just one of those ones where you top deck it and you just win silly things.
Oh yeah. My theory with this is like I was planning to side it for the Drytron matchup because Drytron barely side any back row removal for this, like for like mech invoke, like you would imagine so. And they just lay it down, like bait out the Herald or Kaiju the Herald and just lay it down Mystic Mine and then you just watch them suffer.
Yeah, that's literally it. Just
it only came one match for me, and that was against Invoked Dogmatica, where I just laid down Mystic Mine. And it was just struggling to get around it. I mean, I just kept having to use hand traps to get rid of all his stuff in graveyard, like invocations, because he kept recycling his deck with invocation in graveyard.
Yeah.
So then, when he only had like say 2 cards left in deck, and I was near the end of my run as well, I literally had to go for the kill. So I Lightning Stormed him, and then he just proceeded to Solemn Judgment. Well, I set Overmind beforehand, before using Lightning Storm, of course. And then he Solemn Judgments the Lightning Storm, like, okay, that makes it easier, and I just go for game. And then he just left. It was like Mystic Mine, good card.
Oh no. Well, it does that to people.
And I feel sorry for the judges who had to watch that as well.
Yeah. It's a bit unfortunate, but it happened. Well. In terms of siding patterns, what kind of thing are you taking out then?
Okay, so against for virtual world, I'm siding in 3 Droll, 3 Lancia, and 2 Cosmic Cyclone. I know 2 sounds a bit weird because I'm siding 3,
Hmm.
but with the 2 Cosmic Cyclone, it ouches Chuche, which can be really annoying to deal with sometimes. I mean, Lancia and Droll are just like really strong against them. I mean, in terms of cards I'm taking out Lightning Storm because Lightning Storm is a bit slow against Virtual World. I mean, in terms of other stuff, I'm just taking out Instant Fusion because again, that never came up.
Yeah.
Light Stage and Corbane because as cute as an extender Corbane is, I just don't think it's good for the Virtual World matchup as well. Unless you want to pin a set Chuche, but then again, you'd rather just use Cosmic Cyclone and then just like save a random Nightfall.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, if you're starting on 6 cards going second, right, you probably don't need the third. You don't need that much consistency from your.
Maybe a Gamma Seal as well, because the 8th card was just like say something random, because sometimes it can be really hard to side out and mech Invoked because of all the aggressive going second cards you have.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right, you didn't play any Drytron. What were some of the other matchups you had and the siding strategies you applied for them?
Okay, so I played against 5 Virtual World, as I mentioned. I also played against Dog Geist, which, as I say, all the back row removal came in. And then same with Zoo Lich, which I played against. I'm trying to remember what else I played. Oh yeah, Invoked Dogmatica was Lancia, Droll, and mine.
Okay. And is it the same kind of side outs as before, like Lightning Storms, Corbane Engine?
Not pretty much.
Okay. So you've got like a set, these are the cards I want to keep, and these are the cards I don't mind cutting.
Oh yeah, because with Lightning Storm I would always keep it against back row decks. And even against, like say, Invoked Dogmatica, which has Punishment, Schism, I just keep it in.
Okay. Fair enough. Any other changes that you might make to the deck in the upcoming format?
Maybe just like different extra deck cards to experiment with, like maybe have Dingrissu in there, IP, Willinkish Anima, and maybe like some different hand traps on the side, depending on how the format changes. But not much else really.
Okay. Yeah, that seems cool. I'm still surprised that you managed to do so well with Mech and Vote and like.
I'm surprised myself, to be honest.
Well, it's a good thing, right? It's a good thing to be able to take something so rogue and do so well with it. I think it's a great skill to have.
I honestly think the deck's really sleeper. Like, I don't think it's nowhere near tier 1, and I don't even think it's high tier 2. I think it's like low tier 2 at most. But I still think like if you pilot it correctly, I think you could go a pretty decent way with it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. As you keep proving.
Indeed. And I'm not a big fan of the other Invoked variant, ironically enough. Like, Invoke Shadol, I think the only reason that deck's good is because of Schism and the Dogmatica cards. Other than that, I don't think it's that great.
Yep.
And then Invoke Dogmatica itself is just kind of really predictable, like Maximus. Originally, in the extra deck, before I cut it, I was playing Untis and Nova.
Yep.
So I could play around with Maximus, but not very many people are playing Maximus now, so I just cut it.
Okay, cool. Any shout outs you want to make?
Shout outs go to Connor Patterson for discussing theory with me and helping me with the side and extra with those last few cards. Shout outs to Team Imperial Order for the support, especially with Owen Wilson and his Belle Delphine tokens, and to doing well at the event itself. Shout outs to Jordan for some theory as well, and sadly missing out top 32 because he got 33rd.
Oh yeah.
And shout outs to the Night Milk chat for support in spirit. And yeah.
Cool. Thanks very much for coming on. Congratulations on your top. And thanks very much for taking us through your list. And hopefully we'll see you again in the future.